So, as you can see, I can go on a little bit about Dante, but I don't want to leave the land of the Inferno without a few moments about thinking about our fourth question. So what? What does this all have to do with us? And at one level, I always include Dante in this lesson because I think literature in the vernacular, I think writing in language that people can really appreciate is a really important thing. That even strong, complex feelings, even strong ideas and issues, theories, ideas that matter can be and should be expressed in words and language that people really understand, that we can make complex ideas accessible, and that part of being adults, part of being citizens, part of the developing the mature, cultivated mind of a college graduate is knowing that we have a right to these big, consequential, important ideas. That serious matters. You know, there's a lovely line in 1 Corinthians about when I was a child, I thought like a child, but now I am a man and I think as an adult, as a woman. What's it mean to be a grown up? And I think part of that is to be curious, to be interested, to engage with matters of consequence, not just matters of triviality. So vernacular literature is literature that lets us think about things in our own language. A lot of my study has been involved with American literature, and I think that's a really important force in American letters. Thinking about the language of what people actually say. Mark Twain wrote in dialect as a great vernacular poet. Toni Morrison, more recently, has wonderful ways of looking at the realities of 19th century African American speech patterns so that we can hear all the different kinds of languages that are capable of matters of consequence. So that's one thing I think that's important, to write in languages that people can understand. But the other real consequence for our class is that this is a foundational text about morality. So, one of the issues about love is that there's right love and wrong love. And for Dante, it's very, very clear. We get so caught up in Paolo and Francesca's story. It's easy to get caught up. Dante gets up into it. But it's important to remember at every moment, Dante has damned these people. For Dante, the boundaries between good and bad are very, very clear. Heaven or hell. It's black or white. Whether that reading no further was a kiss or a cuddle or lovemaking or sex, it makes no matter. They crossed the line. And just a toe across the line is unforgivable for Dante. You will spend the rest of your life in hell. Some of us feel that those boundaries in our real lives are still that clear. And a lot of people look for clarity, moral absolute. All right, all wrong, black and white. I think there's great comfort in that. That being said, I think it's just often a lot more complicated than that. I don't think we all share where those boundaries are or should be. I think those boundaries might change for people over time and consequence, but not for Dante. For Dante, there's no ambiguity at all about right or wrong. And at least in this canto, there's no forgiveness. Once you're in hell, you're in hell. You can't get out of hell. You're damned for eternity. So that's an interesting. Dante is relevant to this class because it brings up the issue of morality, and Dante is relevant to us to think about our world and our values and how much we crave for that moral clarity of black and white, of heaven or hell, but how very often I think in reality that that it evades us, that those boundaries seem to me, for me, much more gray, murky, perforated, dappled, blemished, that it's a little more complicated than all right or all wrong in so many, many ways. But we don't agree. I don't think we all agree about that. I don't think we agree not only what's right and what's wrong, but about how gray that boundary should be, and how complicated it can be. So Dante is a vernacular poet. He uses a language we all speak. Dante also is a moral poet, for whom moral choices and moral consequences should be very clear. There are real crimes, there are real punishments, and the punishment should fit the crime. All right, next week we go to a very different kind of hell that's a whole lot closer to home than 14th century Italy. See you next time.